Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to join me for another movie review. Now, this movie, let me tell you about this movie. Before we get into the movie, first let me say this. I have decided to get rid of the Buy Me a Coffee app. Yes, I know. After all the advertisement I did on my podcast, I have decided to get rid of Buy Me a Coffee. For those of you who don't know, Buy Me a Coffee is sort of like Patreon, but it's better for people who are actually producing and making, like videos and things like that. But I didn't have too many people to join to be members or anything like that. So I said, you know what? The videos that I had set for the members of Buy Me a Coffee, I'm just going to go ahead and release them on my YouTube channel here, Sunny Secular. I'm going to continue with the podcast. It's just a little delay right now because of the fact that I am actually in the process of trying to find another place. It's almost time for my lease to be up, and I'm really pressed on time. So pretty soon, this stuff is going to be packed away and I'm going to try to start everything again in my new place. So that's what the delay has been for the podcast. But trust and believe that on Twitter and TikTok, I do still post previous episodes of the podcast. So you could always go back to the past ones that I've done and go back and listen to those. And then here on the movie reviews. So just saying that. And also, after I move and get everything in order, I do plan on doing giveaways and having some merch for sale. Now, I know everybody has merch for sale and things like that. I'm not talking about some t-shirts on a shop and you order from there and it's like $36. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about stuff that I make with my hands like I used to do back in the day. I'm going to put it on the store, on my store to display it. And for people who want to support the podcast, support YouTube, and support me, help me to keep going, because this is not cheap, y'all, to help me to keep going, then to show your appreciation, you buy something from me and it'll be something for both of us. You'll be showing your support and you'll be getting an item in return. All right. So with that being said, let's get into this movie review. The star of the movie is Janelle Monáe and the movie is called Antebellum. This is what it looks like. Y'all, I had no idea what I was in for. I looked at it. I saw her. I was like, oh, that's my girl. I got to get it. You know how that is. And it also had a few other people on here who were pretty cool. Let me pronounce her name. Please don't let me butcher her name. It had Gabourey Sidibe. I hope I said it right. It had her in there. And I really loved her from when she was on American Horror Show, the Coven series. Oh, she was awesome in there. But in here, she was a diva. Her character was the type of person that we all have. You know, you have the group of girls, and it's the one that always has to say what's on her mind, and everybody else just drinks their drink. So yeah, she played a good role in here as well. But all right, getting to the movie, y'all. If you are African American, it's gonna piss you off. I'm just telling you that right now, straight out the bag. This movie, and I'm not gonna be like, oh, it takes place here, and no. We just gonna get into it. So at the beginning of the movie, you see Janelle Monáe's character sort of like in a position where she was trying to run, or no, somebody else was trying to run. And then you see black people dressed, sort of like in the old fashioned with the shirts and the pants and things like that. And you saw a lot of black people picking cotton. Yes, picking cotton. You saw the overseers on the horses. You saw the whips and chains and things like that. And at the beginning, it shows how one person got shot for trying to run. Sorry, y'all. Ooh, let me get some water. Hold on. Okay, you guys, sorry about that. So, like I said before, it takes place with a woman who tried to run. They caught her. They shot her. The guy also tried to run. They caught him with a rope around his neck and put him in, and assumed they beat him or whatever. And so that's how it came on. Janelle's character. When it comes to things or movies and they show people getting R-worded, I don't like stuff like that. It's a trigger for me. I'm not gonna say why it is. It just is a trigger for me. I don't like seeing it. I've never seen the movie Handmaid's Tale. When people was talking about what happens in that movie, I don't understand the mental it takes for somebody to sit there and watch that and be like, "Oh, this is entertaining." Now that's not entertaining for me. So yeah, well, her character, that happened to her, and I assumed that she tried to run. Oh, the um master or whatever was asking her what her name was. She wouldn't say the name he gave her, so he took his belt off and beat her. And then he kicked her around and stuff like that till she said a name that he said. He took a hot branding iron and brand her on her the back of her back like you would a horse. It was just horrible. And she cried and everything. And it showed her kept rubbing this wall. She had like the bottom of the wall, and she kept humming and rubbing the wall. And so all through the movie, I was like, why does she keep rubbing the wall? But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So movie goes on, and they're bringing new people out. They tell her to come over, I guess, because she's been there longer or whatever. And they basically tell the other new people the rules, which is no talking to each other and do as you're told. And if you don't, then, this will happen to you. And they were opening their mouths and looking at the teeth. And the white women, the madams, I guess you want to call, I don't even know what you want to call it. The white women were the ones who were checking their teeth and inspecting their hair. And it really pissed me off to see that, because every time you see one of those stories like that from, back in slavery times, they emphasize of what the men were doing, but they had allies as well. So yeah. So the women were out there with their long dresses and their white gloves, and they were inspecting their teeth and their hair. And she was basically, Janelle was telling the new people, what they had to do, and they couldn't talk. And this one girl, she made it to Janelle's cabin. I can't even remember what the name that they gave her was. And it was really insulting, because the person who renamed Janelle, whose name was Victoria, was it Victoria? You know what? I can't even remember. We just gonna say Victoria. Her name was Victoria. Dang it, what's her name? Victoria or not? Mm-mm-mm. Veronica, y'all. I had to look at the back. Her name was Veronica. Okay. But the person who renamed her was a child. Y'all, if that doesn't make insult to injury, it was a child. the mother said, "What do you think we should name her?" And the child said, "Whatever name." It shows you it wasn't important because I didn't remember the name. The child said whatever name, and then the woman was like, "Very good, that's gonna be her name," and they renamed her. And like I said before, uh, Janelle had got beat for that. I still say Janelle. What is her name? Uh, y'all, my memory. Veronica. Veronica got beat for not taking on the new name that the little girl gave her. So anyway, let's fast forward. So one of the newer girls who had got there, um, she looked biracial. I'm not sure. She had the curly hair and everything. So she was trying to talk to Veronica. She was like, "What is this place?" And then she was just standing there like talking, and Veronica wouldn't say anything. And she said, "What is this place? Where am I? Why is this going on? Why is this happening?" And Veronica was like, "If you know anything, you know to be quiet." And the girl said something that was really like, "Yup, she right." The girl was like, "What has being quiet got you?" And then Veronica was like, a live to see another day type of thing, and the girl was like, "No, we're not finna do this." You know what I mean? What are you doing? So anyway, let's fast forward, and the old massa who had beat her earlier had came in there and had his way with her and fell asleep beside her. Okay, so end of that scene. Then you hear a phone ringing, cell phone ring, and Veronica opens her eyes, and so it seems to be the beginning. I'm sorry, it seems to be fast forward, right? So she opens her eyes and she's next to her cell phone, picks up her cell phone, talks to her agent, her husband's next to her. Little girl comes in, jumps on the bed, and it looks normal. You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, okay, this must be fast forward. This must be the future." And we watching everything that's going on, and Veronica asked the husband to get the daughter ready for school, and the husband was like, "Okay," gave her a kiss and everything, and she had a Zoom meeting. The Zoom meeting was with some woman, um, this Caucasian woman. She had blonde hair and a heavy, heavy Southern accent. And she was asking her questions and things like that. And I don't know, something was going on in Veronica's head. She was like, "What news did you say you were with, or who did you say you were with?" And the lady laughs, "Ha ha 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 ha! I didn't say I was with anyone." And she was like really weird. So Veronica wound up ending it really quick because the lady said something about, "Oh, I see your daughter's in the background," and Veronica turned around, and then she turned her laptop over something like that, and then she told her she had to get ready to go, so she ended it really quickly. So then her little girl was like, "Who was that?" And they went through that. At the beginning, this movie is kind of slow. All right, so then the I'm not sure if it was the same day or the next day. Veronica gets dressed and gets ready and has her book bag and has to go out of town because she has to do. She's a speaker. She's a doctor. She's a doctor. Yes, she's a speaker. She does, talks all around the world and everything. And she has an agent and all of this. So she gives her daughter a kiss and her husband. "I'll see you later," and all of that. Then she meets up with uh oh my goodness. Like, don't be mad at me, y'all. Don't be mad. With the, Gabourey. I forgot what her character's name was in the movie, but she meets up with her. That's her best friend and everything, and they talk about how hard it was with the flight, and she didn't want to be away from her daughter, and she gave her Gabourey gave Veronica some encouraging words and all of this. So she talks her into going out that night. So at first she was like, well, I had to be up at 6 in the morning for my speech. And she was like, yeah, okay, then we'll just meet for dinner. So she gets ready for dinner and goes down, to meet Gabby and another lady. It was another Caucasian woman with Gabby. They were friends. I think it was her editor. But excuse me, they met and they, got ready to go eat dinner. While they were eating dinner, the same creepy lady, y'all, this same creepy lady that was on her Zoom pretended like she lost her key and the maid let her in her room. And I was like, you know what? You know what? This lady would be fired for real. But anyway, the maid let her in the room because she acted like she forgot her key. Lady goes in there, throws her papers on the floor. She takes a dump in her bathroom. She takes her lipstick and steals it basically. I thought she was going to steal her papers, but she didn't. She just wound up throwing them on the ground. And she saw her daughter's picture on the wall. And she didn't tear it off. She just looked at it and started smiling like, you know what I mean? And then she was looking in the mirror and she was just like some kind of stalker like type of lady. Anyway, so then we go to the dinner and all of that, and Gabby's trying to talk her Veronica into going out with them to, go party and dance and stuff. And the uh, agent and Gabby are going to go together, but Janelle, Veronica says she's going to go back to the room. She got to get up early, So Veronica calls a lift. Gabby and the agent go in another car. They go on to the club, and Veronica's like, a Lyft driver, could you turn the radio down? I can't hear. She was trying to, talk on the phone. She couldn't hear. The radio was so loud. So she was like, did you hear me? Did you hear me? Could you turn the radio down? She looks ahead, and the driver does like this and puts on her lipstick that she had been looking for. And then she did like that with her eyes. When she did that, somebody grabbed her from behind. And she was screaming and kicking and stuff. And the person who was behind her, trying to grab her, wound up hitting her. And she hit her head against the glass. And that was all they showed. Then it goes back to the other scene where she was laying next to Massa and hear a cell phone ringing. Now, at this time, I had already figured out what was going on. But I guess for everybody else, she had woke up and the cell phone was ringing. And then the master wakes up, goes out to the horse, and gets the phone, talks on the phone, and then puts it back in the saddle of the horse. And then comes back and lays down. And Veronica had heard what he said, but she had acted like she was still asleep. And he was calling her by her name that he gave her. And she wasn't answering. She was just laying there. And so he just basically said, if they think they're going to take you away from me, they're wrong. And she started crying. Then the next day, when they were out there picking cotton again, you noticed that the cotton that they were picking, they were burning it. And it makes you think, well, why would they be burning it? If this is supposed to be back then. Then you see an airplane, a regular airplane. Now you and I both know wasn't no cell phones there or airplanes back then. And that's how you know. This isn't way back then. This is right now. These crazy motherfucking people. Oh, that's my air, y'all. My air my air freshener. But anyway, these crazy people were kidnapping only blacks to have this reenactment. You know those places where they reenact the North and the South fighting? Yeah. They went too far. To a point where they were not only guilty of kidnapping, but killing people, murder, abuse, rape, you name our word, you name it, they was doing it. So anyway, they're out there picking the cotton, and one of the people on the horses was like asking about the biracial girl, and they said if she was late the other day, she only gets one. And then they told Janelle's character to go get her because they thought she was still in the cabin. Well, come to find out, after she had gotten beaten and R-worded the night before, that girl hung herself. Veronica found her in that cabin, hung from the ceiling. And she started crying and screaming. And when she was out there in that field, it was like she zoned out. Now, mind you, before then, she was almost halfway zoned out because she kept rubbing that bottom cabin. And we were able to see what was at that bottom when she was rubbing. And it was where she had carved the same picture that her daughter had wrote her that day that she left. She had carved the same picture in the cabin, and that's what she was rubbing every day. That made me feel so sad. But anyway, when Veronica was out there in that field and she was standing there numb after seeing that girl hang herself, she whispered to one of the guys and she said, "It's tonight." Because the guy would ask her every day, when. And she wouldn't say nothing. She was too scared. She was too afraid. But that day, she just said tonight. She whispered it. You had to have been listening to hear it. But she said tonight. And the guy, when the guy sang, they weren't allowed to sing, but they could hum. And so he started humming, Lift Every Voice and Sing. I was like, you know what? It's on now. And then he I wonder if he was humming We Shall Overcome. No, he was humming Lift Every Voice and Sing. Yeah, he was humming that. So that night came around and that old guy was at it again with her. She waited till he fell asleep. And she got up and creeped out of bed. She was careful not to walk on certain planks on that floor because it was squeaky. And she went outside. And she was like, "I'm here," like that. But she didn't see anybody. And so she started crying because she thought that nobody was going to go. But then, all of a sudden, she heard somebody hum, Lift Every Voice, just the beginning part. And she turned around and saw him and gave him a hug and everything. And so they were going to get ready to do their thing. And then she told him, wait a minute. And she went in that guy's bag and in the horse and showed him the phone. And the guy was like, he got a phone? And they were like, yeah. And she said, I heard him say that they wasn't supposed to bring a phone here. And then it was like, where are we? These people didn't even know where they was. For real. But you couldn't be far because if it's a cell phone, it's a tower, right? Anyway, so she tried to call 911 and the call didn't even go through. Like, I'm like, bruh, where are they at? I'm thinking like it's a whole government thing by now, watching that part. But turns out that the dude's phone was locked or something, and she couldn't get an outside line. So fast forward some, and they trying to, get everything and get out, and they see two guys walking past in those uniforms. Now, mind you, these people is really walking around with those uniforms on and the Confederate flag flying on the pole. Not the American flag. They got the Confederate flag flying on the pole. And you want to tell me that's not a form of racism, please? They got the regular uniforms on, the Confederate flag. They fighting a for real war enactment. But I guess this time they tried to switch the ending or something. I don't know. I don't know what these people was doing. But anyway, so two guys was walking past and they was drunk and everything. So Veronica and the guy was leaning against the cabin so that they wouldn't find them. And one of the guys seen the other man's cell phone on the ground because they had dropped the phone when they went to run and hide. And he was like, is this your phone? And he said, we can't bring phones here. And then he said, don't say my real name. And then they started like pushing each other. And then they started laughing and drinking again. Excuse me. So, long story short, the one guy, he wound up going in one direction with his bottle, and the other guy went in the other direction to use the bathroom. And the black guy who was trying to escape had hit the guy in the head who was using the bathroom. And then the other guy, I think they caught him too and pushed him or tied him or hit him in the head. I forgot what happened to him. But then they got ready to get the horse, but the old guy, the old master that was sleeping with Veronica that whole time, he had woke up and they started tussling with him. And he beat up the black guy and he beat her up and punched her, knocked her over. And then the guy, it was like a back and forth type of thing. Every time he knocked the guy down, Veronica jumped on him. Every time he Veronica down, the guy jumped on him. At the end, he wound up killing the guy. He stabbed him with an axe or something. And Janelle's character, Veronica, got him and stabbed him. And when she stabbed him, he fell to the ground. So then she went outside and got the phone again and put it to the guy, the old man, and she was like, unlock it now, unlock it. And then she punched him because the guy was already stabbed. She punched him, and so he unlocked it. She called her husband, and they was like, oh my God, where are you? We've been looking for you. Everybody's been looking for you. And she was like telling him to call the police, and she was going to send some coordinates or something, a map. I don't know how she did it because she didn't know where she was. So then she goes outside and she takes the Confederate flag down, wraps the old guy in the flag, and uses that to pull him into this. They had like this smoke incinerator type of thing because when they were killing these people, they were burning them, burning the evidence. They was burning the people that they had killed. So she took the flag and dragged him in that thing. When she dragged him in that thing, two more people had came and tried to like, they tried to fight him and stuff, and she was able to jump him, and because it was only two, she was able to jump him, and she kicked one and took the axe and got the other one, and because she told, oh, let me back up before that happened. She said, so and so is sick. You gotta help him. You gotta help him. He's over here sick. He's throwing up. And when they ran in there, she shut the door. That's how she got him in there. And then, they was trying to fight her and everything, trying to get out the door, and she slammed the door on them. So that's what happened. It wasn't a tussle. And then she locked the door, and they were like, "Let us out of here! Let us out of here! We're gonna get you." You know how that is. And she lit it. She lit it. So those three men got burnt up. Then she jumps on the horse and she tried to get up out of there. That same crazy chick from earlier with the blonde hair, she was after her on her horse. The girl was shooting, her, and she wasn't getting her because she was a little bit far ahead of the white chick. I thought she was gonna get killed. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how close it wound up being from them and them horses. But Veronica had got off the horse and was hiding behind one of the trees in the forest, and the lady was like talking big stuff too, big shit. You're not gonna get out of here. Oh, you know why you're not gonna get out of here? Cause you're nothing but a cotton picker. All of you, you're nothing but a cotton picker. And then she was like, I told my father, not to even have y'all out here, but he just had to have you. He just had to have you. All of you. He wanted the men and the women, and I don't see why. And she was just like talking big stuff. And you just think you're all big and bad because you're a doctor and all of this, but you're nothing. You're nothing. You understand me? You're just a cotton picker. You're not getting out of here alive. Veronica wound up throwing that axe at her. Then they got on the ground and they was tussling, and it wasn't looking good. I tell you that, because the other girl was kind of taller than Veronica. She was a little bit taller. The Caucasian lady was taller, but it was a good fight. They got to scrapping and stuff, and the lady, I don't know what came over Veronica, but she was like, no. And when she said no, she just in that girl's face, just blah, blah. I guess she was like, it's either you or me, because she was like, no. And she was just blah, 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 blah. The girl's face was all beat up and stuff. And she was about to get up again. Veronica put that thing around her neck, and the girl tried to fight her. She put the rope around the girl's neck, and the girl tried to fight her. But something happened when she tripped her, she kicked her or something. That was all it took. Because with that rope around her neck, Veronica jumped on that horse and started riding, and the lady was behind her on that horse. And she was doing like this because it was around her neck. And I was like, oh, it's a done deal now. And she kept riding and riding. And when she was riding, the horse had jumped over like some kind of fence, not fence, but like a stick. And the other lady hit it was like a brick. She hit the brick. And I guess it snapped her neck or killed her or something. And Veronica stopped for a minute and looked. And then she saw something. And she looked up. Don't you know it was a sign? A sign. So then she saw the sign, and she just kept riding. And she rode, and she was crying, and she had the axe, and she was riding. Then all of a sudden you saw police cars coming. The sign said Antebellum. It was one of those reenactment places. It was only supposed to be for them to reenact the war, and that's not what they was doing. So when she had jumped the fish with the horse and saw the sign and everything, it was literally people out there with cameras taking pictures of her thinking she was part of the thing. Cause she was riding over there with her horse and the axe, and she was looking like I thought they was gonna shoot her because she had that look in her eyes. She was, you know, but at the end, they didn't really show her back with her daughter and hugging and her husband and her friends. It went off with her riding across the line with the police. And then the next scene they showed was a bulldozer rolling over the sign. I guess saying that it was torn down or whatever. But this movie really needs a part two, because after I watch this, I want to know what kind of therapy she got because of the trauma that she went through when they kidnapped her, when they stalked her, when that old man R-worded her repeatedly. Who knows who else did the same thing to her repeatedly? When she zoned out from watching that girl hang herself, when she got branded like a animal. I want to know what kind of therapy she went through, them nightmares, who handled it. Like she basically was like what do you call those people? POW, prisoner of war. Only it wasn't really a war, but she was a prisoner of war. Like, that's some traumatizing shit. I want to know about her therapy sessions. I want to know how her friends felt. Well, I already know how they probably felt, because they probably was like, we should have never let her go by herself. They thought it was a regular Lyft driver, and it wasn't. It was that crazy lady. I want to know how the family was able to get through that. Her daughter. Like, it's a whole bunch of questions. I want to know how courts went. I want to know what exactly is a jury of peers, because we all know that's never even. Never. I want to know what the charges were, because this was beyond kidnapping. I want to know everything. I don't want to just see them towing down the sign. I want to know what else happened. That wasn't a good way to end it for me. But if I had to give it between a 1 and a 5, 5 being the highest, I have to say a 3.5. Because number one, no, we'll say 4. Because if you didn't figure out the twist like as quickly as I did, because I watch movies like with twisted endings, if you didn't figure out the twist that it was really actual day and not way back then you would have been happy with that twist. So yeah, we'll say a 4. But for as of what happened and how, and whoever made the script, the way that you even thought of that just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Because we are not the same people as back then. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. Would I recommend other people to see it? Yeah, don't take my word for it. You can see it for yourself. You may have a different outlook than I do. Pick it up. This was a spur of the moment for me. I was at Target looking around, and I saw it, and I was like, it's my girl, so I'm gonna get it. And that's because I collect movies. I know a lot of people like, why do you buy movies if you got Netflix? Well, I don't have Netflix for one. I got rid of my Amazon Prime for two. And I collect movies and books. That's my two collections. I got a bookshelf and I got a movie shelf. I collect books and movies. On top of me doing my crafts on my other channel. But yeah. So, we'll say a 4. I really want to say 3.4. I mean 3.5 because this type of movies, y'all, I'm not. No. Don't even put this in a script. Don't even think about it. Don't even make it come out your mouth. But since they already did, okay. But if you didn't know that it was going to be a twist, then yeah, we could push it on to a 4. So, should she get an award for this one? Maybe. Because, like I said, it was kind of slow at the beginning, but I guess it had to be in order for you to get it to the twist. So, she's always good in whatever she plays. I'll tell you that right now. But, check it out for yourself. That's all I have to say. Leave your thoughts, comments, or questions down below. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Let me know what you think about these movie reviews. Let me know what you think. And until next time, stay happy.